see what's going to happen as we start up into this best of 7 between two teams. To the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Misaki, who did pick a map up off of Hurricane last week. As in the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran is Coffee, who also picked up a map last week. What's up, guys? How we doing? Sorry, I need a moment. I think I'm done dying. Alright, so last week we did have some upsets with Misaki taking a map of Hurricane, and also Coffee took a map of Impact. So these guys going up against each other is kind of an exciting China-on-China match to start off with. Now, you know what, this is kind of ridiculous, so let me actually add in a text file. I don't usually like to add the names when they're double barcodes. It's going to help me out as well, otherwise I'm just going to forget. No, I wanted to outline in black. Like that, okay. So, Coffee is our Terran player. And we've got... just copy paste that. And then we've got this one. I'm just going to name it Saki. Perfect. Alright, so the ZVT starting us off today in Kaizi Gaming versus Invictus Gaming. Both teams with a 1-0 start in the league after week 1. Invictus taking down Season 1 runners-up Team LP, who are now bottom of the table 0-2 after week 2, day 1. Invictus coming out and seeing if they can improve to 2-0, which would be a hell of a start. While Kaizi Gaming will be looking to go 2-0 after last week's win against Bravestar Gaming. This week they have Innovation on their roster. No, Misaki, you can't just maximize when I'm tabbed away. Oh my god. I have my XSplit like tabbed out as well, so I couldn't even see that. Alright. Fixed. So, as we get this set up and ready to go, let's have a look to see what's happening. Already we've got Coffee is dropping down the bunker over here, so he's blocking this hatchery by a little bit. Links on the Queen will be able to take that down, and the hatchery dropping in on the third base. As we have this Reaper hopping up into the main to drop down a grenade, and mostly just scouting around a little bit. So just been a little bit annoying in the early stages. Am I getting sick? Honestly, I've had this little bit of a chesty cough for like the last week or maybe a week and a half. I probably just need to get some medicine around it, so that's all I'm... I don't know. I think it's kind of funny because I was completely fine for the last couple of hours I've been awake. 3 hours I've been awake, so... a bit strange. Anyways, this game, sorry guys, a lot of stuff going on at the start. So, we do see a couple of Hellions and a Reaper hanging out in the center of the map. Link speed on the way up now in the main base. So getting that ready to roll, as we will see a Creep Teamer getting picked off at the front there by the Reaper and a couple of Hellions. Fusion Core is going to be finishing up in a moment or two. That will give access to the Battle Cruiser here, as those couple of Marines will be able to push the Overlord away out through the left-hand side of the map. So the lair starts up already, and obviously going in towards the lair is a great way to counteract the Battle Cruiser play because you can get the Spire up and go from there. So we've seen those couple of Marines just continue to nibble their way through that Overlord. Hellions continuing to move their way towards the upper left-hand side. Just having a look to see what's going on. Lair starting up about halfway done at the moment, actually, as we are going to be seeing the Spore Crawler on the natural. These Hellions back away over to the side. And a third CC going to start up as well. So nice patient start to get this underway. BC is about halfway done already, so again I'm going with that as we do see a command center into the natural expansion. Hellions continue to sit at the front as the Overlord just goes on a bit of a patrol. Queens continue to push down this left-hand side, so some Creep Teamers that can of course just keep spreading forwards in quite a nice little direction. And all good there so far, as we'll see the Spire dropping down in the natural expansion as well, so getting that up and running. And as we do just, going towards the Corruptor's deal for these BCs. The first BC not moving forwards. I tell you what, where the unit's only 24 lings out. Queens are on their way over to deal with these Hellbats, but that's a big problem. Because if the Queens are dealing with Hellbats, they're not dealing with the battle cruiser. In fact, the battle cruiser just teleports into this fight on top of the queens. I mean, multiple queens are going down here, right? Gets a couple already. He's going to keep taking damage, but we're getting to that point where the queen count is actually so low, the damage output on the BC is basically non-existent apart from the spore crawler. So all the queens are going to go down. Now, Lings are counter-attacking, but until the Spire finishes and Corruptors come into play here, this BC is going to have a hell of a time. And it's just not quite going to get that drone as it morphs into an extractor. It isn't actually doing that much overall just yet. Next BC is over halfway completed. As 2 more factories drop down from Coffee, we will be seeing some mech play for him continuing on as this BC heads back out into the center. The Lings back to the top side as well. And some creep just continuing to push forwards here. A couple of Corruptors on the way out. And a Queen coming in on the 3rd base as well. So a lot of setup at the moment. A lot of building up and a lot of getting ready to go. For just a little while. Marine's going to come up this right-hand side. Wardy needs a hot toddy, a whiskey, lemon, honey, and water, hot water mix-up. I already had a lemon honey tea this morning. Like, I don't know what it is. Oh, it's so annoying. Honestly, I'm just looking forward to this weekend where I'm not going to be casting for a few days, and that should help me get my cough back on track, you know. Hellions coming in and able to pick up a couple of Zerglings there as the BCs will push the Lings back also. So far, obviously, Coffee, great start to this, and since then, let's just continue to build up into units. Resources lost very much so in Coffee's favor. We are going to be seeing Invictus Gaming's play good here so far in game number 1. We'll see a few more Hellions running in, and the Hellions continue to trade out quite nicely. Hellions morph into Hellbats, and we'll see a couple of those Lings going to be picked off as the 4th base is going to be really under fire. There's just no units here to deal with these Hellbats. Meanwhile, Battle Cruisers are going to have to teleport away, and Coffee is paying attention. We'll get another Corruptor and then teleport to the other way to minimize the required repairing. There's actually just nothing on the ground, like nothing at all. Misaki has literally 11 Zerglings and 7 Banelings morphing. You know, Infestors on the way are not going to help too much. These Hellbats are going to scan. Are they going to go for those Banelings? He will just split a couple ahead. Honestly, that's all it's going to take to cancel a couple of those already. And now there's only 4 left. What do they even connect into? 2 Hellbats go down. I mean, they just keep pressing forward. Corruptors are going across the map to try and deal damage into the main. But there are Cyclones nearby, so they can come and respond to that, even if they are currently on their way out down to the natural. SCV should be able to repair this, and there are the Cyclones beginning to lock on. So Corruptors will start to drop, and this starts to become a trade that's just not really effective anymore. So the Corruptors will have to leave. 2 of them going down. Hellbat's still in the back of this mineral line. Zerglings are just dying as they wander in. This Infestor wanders into trouble, drops a fungal at least before it goes down. It's something, but it's not really what you want. We're seeing the extra drones here still taking quite a bit of damage. Infested Terrans using up the Infestor energy. I mean, is that really going to achieve much though? As now Hellions and Cyclones run over here, right? There's just nothing to really be done. You're going to see Infestors are dropping down. GG well played is called. We'll see Coffee picking up the first map here for Invictus Gaming. Our all-Chinese team. The only all-Chinese team in game number 2. Are the player names still the right way around? Yes, they are. Perfect. Upper map in the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player who just hellbatted his opponent to death. It is Coffee. And the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg again took a map of Hurricane last week, while Coffee took a map of Impact. These are the 2 Chinese players that absolutely performed in week 1 of the tournament. Exciting to see them go up against each other, see what they can bring in that regard as we get this rolling. Just going to be seeing the hatchery dropping down on the natural expansion, so getting that ready to roll as we'll see a couple more drones building up here as well. Barracks dropping down in the main base, and yeah, SCVs just continuing to crank out at the moment into this mineral line. The Overlord moving down to the bottom right hand side as well, getting this set to go. As it is a hatch gas, soon to be a spawn pool in the next few minutes. As this barracks finishes up, As this barracks finishes up, we are going to be seeing the Reaper starting up, of course. I kind of like this map for TVZ. Like, I know it's large, I know the Zerg can get bases, but the bases are, you know, abusable. You can tank up here, you can tank up there, push into this right side, the left side, you can absolutely get some stuff done on as well. The middle of the map is pretty choky too, so you can absolutely, you know, make it difficult for the Zerg to engage. Which is kind of what you're looking for, right? You're kind of looking to make the Zerg's life as difficult as possible for the most part, so... We'll see 6 Zerglings on the way up here from Misaki. Obviously, he's just going to get set up to deflect the initial Reaper. Nothing too crazy there. Pretty much kind of what you just expect to start this off, as we'll see this SCV patrolling around up on the top side. Reactor starting up on this barracks in the main base. Now this factory is going to be finishing in a few moments as well, so that's going to be completing. As this factory finishes, we will have, of course, access to a whole bunch of units. The command center dropping down on the natural expansion. It's just going to be Hellions, of course, early on. And it is double gas, so the starport should be dropping down in a second now. It looks as though the barracks is moving its way over to build a tech lab for that starport as well. So definitely looks as though we could be seeing a battle cruiser again. There's also that possibility of this just being a Banshee. Pretty much that's the kind of the two ways you go into that. If you use the tech lab, now you can put the starport in the tech lab and not make use of it. You can just build a Viking Liberator, and it can be a bit of a mind game if the Zerg scouts in. The problem is nowadays that's kind of dying off in the meta because you've got that pneumatized carapace upgrade, the Overlord speed, which costs that little bit less, and more Zergs are investing into it, especially to be able to scout things such as battle cruisers and so on. So faking out like a Banshee or so doesn't really work anymore. Like, the Zerg can just scout and scout again, right? And so by the time you actually finish the Banshee, you may as well have just actually, you know, committed to a Banshee because, yeah, it just doesn't really make sense if you're trying to cancel it and the Zerg just comes back in, etc. So, looks like this is going to be a real-life Banshee. Banshee, Cloak. On the way up, as we see a Queen and another Overlord on the way up, 5 more drones on the way out, and the tech lab on the barracks is about halfway done as well. Couple more Hellions. All coming now. We actually see Hellions darting in towards this natural mineral line. We find a couple of, well, 1 drone and 1 link so far, but they are now in the main base, so they will likely get more, although they're not really finding the stacked up drones. That's going to be 5 workers for 4 Hellions. It's kind of that, oh my god, he's going to get more. The Queens have not run around well there at all. Don't let him get 2. I mean, 4 workers for, 6 workers for 4 Hellions is about borderline for being okay. Because by losing those Hellions, you are giving up your map control, remember. You are giving up a lot of the presence on the map, and now the Zerg knows, hey, there's no Hellions anymore. I can super safely drone up. You know, I've already got a few links on the map. And so, while it seems pretty bad to lose those initial drones, it's not the end of the world as, oh my god, Ling's going to the natural mineral line. There's no units here. The factory is building. Starport's getting a Banshee. Oh my god, these SCVs are going to get destroyed, and there's no wall off into the main base. There's literally 1 Marine in production. I mean, there's a Banshee that's about to pop as well. A few drones now going down across the map. As Spore Crawlers aren't ready, though, so there's no detection. Oh my god, what's going on in this game? The Lings get cleaned up. There's 13 SCVs have gone down. There's still a couple more in the natural. Oh my god, but no detection. Oh, Misaki, he just had a hell of a run by. And it's all going to fall apart because of the lack of detection here. What a huge mistake. Especially when he has pneumatized carapace, he should have been able to scout for those Banshees. And now this Banshee is just sat in no man's land, hitting these Queens and finds another drone. Oh no. What a huge disaster. 12 drones down now. Finally the Banshee's out of energy and it's going to get out of there alive. Wow, well that just evens the game right back up. So while Coffee had nothing at home, bar those 2 Hellions, which instantly got surrounded, he's going to find himself back in this game through the very, very fortunate scenario of finding Misaki with absolutely no detection available. Misaki was building a Roach Roar, and this is going to be a bio style. Why was Misaki actually scouted? I mean, Misaki's now scouted everything, right? Apart from the fact that it's not extra barracks, but he saw Stim, so it's a pretty good telltale sign. And he's continuing to build Roaches, so it looks like he wants to go into a Roach-based style here, rather than anything else. This Banshee's going to hop up into the main base, and Queen's over on the natural, Spore Crawler in the main as well. You see the Roaches, Roach already going down. You'll see the Queen getting picked off too. At least he got rid of one of the Banshees, so The two of them together still pretty good, but there's better sport color position now, man. The lack of that there is really hurting Misaki here as Queen will drop. Drone will drop as well. I mean, again, just little bits and pieces done by these Banshees. They're going to find 2-3 more drones here, perhaps, before they back off. Yeah, really nice damage. I mean, that's 5 more workers on top of everything else. As we are going to be seeing the units coming back over to the side. Banshee's going to hide away in the top. We're going to be seeing the +1 missiles and Carapace about halfway done. Roach speed coming in as well. Couple of Banshees continuing down to the bottom. As you see 10 Roaches, +1 missiles, and Roach speed all continuing to come up here. And you've seen the 1-1 upgrades, the combat shields continuing along, and just going to be having our bio army starting to move out a little bit for a little bit of pressure. So those Banshees going to get SCVs repairing them up. Creep in the center already being cleaned out a little bit, and again this Overseer just having a bit of a fly around. I mean, this is what the Terran player wants to do at this stage. Oh, misses that active tumor. That's so annoying. Another scan. That's a shame. I obviously should have been able to get that. Misaki's just going for this, man. 12 more Lings, a bunch of Roaches. There are Queens in this Dropper Lord. This is a very, very late attack. You know, this sort of attack usually comes so much faster in the game. 1-1 upgrades are going to be done for the Terrans, so they're going to start this fight with the upgrade lead. I mean, the idea of the Queens is they can fight off the Banshee-based defense, but I'm not even sure if that's the biggest problem. This third base is so easily protected by the tanks on the high ground as well. Seeing Roaches pressing forwards here, the siege tank firing away, Marines in the front. Oh my god, the first tank gets blown up almost instantly, but again, the problem is now the tanks on the high ground will do so much, and, you know, there's no upgrades in the game, so if you lose SCVs, it's kind of okay, because eventually you're going to just win the game by upgrades being that much better. Now, we do see these tanks here in some trouble. Coffee does still need to hold on that little while longer. He needs to not have the depots down. There's no reason these Roaches should be running up into this main base at the moment. That's a big mistake, and that's going to allow these tanks to go down. They should have been stuck on this ramp for a lot longer. And in that scenario, this tank does so much more damage. It's not going to matter anyway. Coffee is going to take it 2-0. And he is going to put Invictus into a good start here, but that was a mistake by Coffee that could have cost him deadly if it was a little bit closer. GG's, well played. Let me actually just delete these names off the bottom of this series. In the bottom right-hand side, we do have the Red Zerg player representing Invictus Gaming. His team is up 2-0. This is INnoVation's. In the top left, our Blue Terran. It is INnoVation. So INnoVation comes out. Last time he played INnoVation, he did end up losing. That was in one of the events in China. It was offline, not even online. So interested to see what INnoVation will come out with here this time around, as we are going to be seeing SCVs for the moment, just continuing to mine away quite happily. No problems there just yet. Believe it or not, so can't kill the Terran that a minute and a half into the game. So INnoVation is the first week he's allowed to play for Kaizi Gaming. They were able to pick up a win without him last week, which just shows their potential dominance in this league. If they win this one, they go up 2-0. With 3 weeks left to play, there's a lot of potential there. A lot of possibilities. Thank you for dropping by, everyone, today as well. Hope you're enjoying the games. If you do miss any of the China Team Championship action, all of our matches are going up on YouTube. And I mean all of them, like literally all. So, I do have a bit of a problem. Here's a funny problem. So, I've got so much to upload to YouTube right now that if I upload twice a day, the videos cannibalize each other, and uploading 2 videos gets less views than uploading 1 video, right? So I'm in a bit of a weird spot where basically I'm going to just sacrifice a day or 2 on YouTube just to make sure those videos are up there, so if you do want to watch them, you can watch them. Because obviously we have 6 matches a week, that means they've got, you know, to take 6 days of uploading. So we're probably going to do 3 days of uploading alongside some of the Summer Championship tournament stuff that we've been putting out as well. And I kind of want to do some YouTube exclusive casts too, but I just got so much to upload to YouTube, it's actually a problem right now. It's kind of crazy. Do check out the YouTube channel, guys, youtube.com/WardiTV. We are on a road to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're not there yet. We're quite a far way away, but every single sub does help, and we really are trying to push that, put out some good content for you guys. As you see the Reaper poking around, Creep Tumor spreading in at the front. And this Reaper just pulling back up through the center of the map. We're going to be seeing that starport dropping down, about halfway done at the moment. And the Tech Lab coming in on the barracks. A couple extra Hellions going to be finishing off. This Overlord just hanging out in the back of the Natural. Just going to be seeing this Liberator starting on the starport as well, so Liberator on the way up, going to be seeing again those couple of Hellions just coming through for the moment. 2 Hellions are going to be able to pick off a Creep Tumor and back away. So INnoVation just applying some light pressure, really kind of a light pressure build, considering you've seen a lot of heavy pressure builds lately, like Cloak Banshee attacks, Hellbats, Battle Cruisers. This is really just like, Hellions going to poke, Liberator is going to harass a little bit in the mains on the natural mineral line, and he's just going into Stimpath. He's just going to go straight up into his bio play. So INnoVation just setting straight up into his next stage of the game already. And he's not even bringing more Hellions on the map. He's leaving 4 Hellions at home. He's extremely afraid of some kind of crazy counterattack or so. He's been very careful. He will fully wall off now. So he was just leaving those at home until he got walled off. Now he will send them out onto the map, as the Overlord speed from Iasonu is a good way for him to scout, and he gets full information as to what's going on as well. Obviously, there is going to be extra barracks building because we see Stimpack. We're just going to be seeing the Hellions continue to move around. Drone already takes a little bit of damage there. There's going to see a couple more drones going down. Things running in. The Hellions have to go running off there, and Hellions are going to be able to pick up some kills here, it looks like, as Liberator goes in the main base. So while the defense was actually pretty okay in the natural, Liberator in the main got a bit of damage done, but overall it is a good defense. Iasonu pulled his drones away. He minimized losses, only loses 4 workers, and a couple of units that were building in the lava, so obviously he got some refund on those. So there's actually very little lost here, and INnoVation not too successful in the early moments. Not too great just yet. So we're going to be seeing those couple of ones back up to the top. I mean, INnoVation already has a siege tank. He's playing extremely safely. He built a siege tank, then a reactor on the factory. So he wants to play Widow Mines, but he built the siege tank first just to make sure he's going to be safe in case Iasonu has some kind of, you know, aggressive counterattack set up, because that is the sort of way that Iasonu plays. It's absolutely the kind of way that Iasonu plays. We do see this Overlord coming up to the top side. One more Burst Combat Shields coming in. A couple more Medivacs on the way out as well. Those Evo Chambers continuing up here for Iasonu. So continuing up into that as the Bane speed is going to be starting. And again, some Zerglings just continue to run around over on this left-hand side. Looking to see what else is happening. Again, Bane speed continuing up here on the Bane Nest. Zergling is going to be moving now onto the map. The Bane on the way up here. Marine still pressing forward. Siege tank coming through. Widow Mines along with it as well. We'll see a couple of Zerglings already being picked off there too. A couple of Bane's going to go down. Zerglings still taking damage, and again, Bane's continuing to run back here from Iasonu down to the bottom side. Siege tank's going to unburrow and unsiege and find a couple of wandering Banelings. INnoVation's first real kind of Fire focus pushing this game, and a couple of Widow Mines in the front. It seems to be a bit scary for them to fight. Widow Mine's actually going to blow up a Queen there. The second Queen takes a lot of damage, doesn't go down. It means that no Widow Mines go off on any of these Zerglings though, which is maybe a problem as the Marines actually still running away. Innovation doesn't boost his medevac, so he doesn't really get there to lift them up and evacuate them. And that is a cleanup here by INnoVation's. Innovation, by the way, has one upgrade so far ahead of INnoVation's. The fact that INnoVation's is still only on 0-0, that's going to give Innovation a lot of potential as he continues to fight here. INnoVation's, I don't know what's really gone wrong for him in particular, right? I mean, he never really lost drones. Maybe he just overmade units, lost a lot of units there. I mean, this little push from Innovation with 1-1 against 0-0 is going to be really tough to deal with, because if it comes down to Lings versus Marines, those Marines are going to shred with an upgrade lead. Now the Queens don't have transfusions, the Queens won't be able to soak up Widow Mines like we saw before. So those Banelings really are in a lot of trouble. If you see a counterattack on the top right, we'll go look at that in a moment or two. For now, God, Marines do pull away from those Widow Mines. There's the counterattack. There's Marines nearby as the Lings run into that third base. Banelings still dropping off over here as Marines actually lift it up. They'll drop back down. Yeah, Marines are going to stim over, and again, with 1-1 upgrades, they will do pretty okay in that fight for the moment. Banes will finally clean this up over here, but it's been so expensive. I mean, multiple wave of Banelings, clean up one wave of the Terran player. And obviously, Innovation's upgrades continue to come out, his units continue to roll on out as well. INnoVation's is going to try and go up into Hive, and doing all of this off of no lair tech, so no Hydra Den, no Spire or anything along those lines. Definitely puts him in a bit of trouble as we see the Hive coming up here in the main base. The medevac with 4 Widow Mines inside going down the left. And those Banelings and Zerglings still gathering up. We are going to be seeing the rest of the Zerglings running around too. And down the bottom, a little bit of Ling Bane will get itself together. Hive about halfway done then, so INnoVation is on his way towards the Ultralisks. But those Ultras, whenever they pop, I mean 2-3 minutes from now, if INnoVation is still alive, they're going to be without proper upgrades, right? I mean, Innovation is going to have a time where he's going to have 3-3 against 2-2 Ultras, and it doesn't matter if Chitinous playing is done or not. It is going to be way too difficult to deal with. This is nice. There's actually quite a lot of SCVs going down in an instant. And Innovation's actually pulling back, but at the same time, a Widow Mine drop comes in and gets just as many drones as SCVs went down in this run by, so this actually works out pretty well. There's a few things still actually in the mineral lines though, so this isn't done yet. All said and done overall, I mean, Innovation is still rocking it. Look at the supplies. 80 to 43 army supply. He's got the 55 SCVs to 58 drones, so he's absolutely looking fantastic there. We do just have a few Banelings sat off to the side, ready to run by into this mineral line again. Banelings coming in, forced around, going to be able to pick off a Marine, and again, Marines, Widow Mines, and medevacs in the center. Seeing what else is going on. Two Libs going to come down the left. A Lib on each of the mineral lines. Again, it's just going to be a few extra drones, something that INnoVation has to go and deal with while INnoVation looks full push. Now in the center of the map here, finding a few units they run by, mostly looking for those group tumors. At Nidus Network in the main, we're still not seeing any real use out of the Hive. So we're waiting to see what that's going to be all about, as we do see Banes are going to roll out of this. INnoVation has kept pushing, so he's got an army on the front as Banes roll into his main base. So Marines and Marauders will go and respond to that. This hatchery is dying. Nidus is going down. There were Liberators around as well, which is where a lot of those drones in the death tab have come from. You can just see INnoVation's army is just a little bit too good when it comes to fighting these Ling Bane armies at the moment. We're going to leave the charge in there. So many Widow Mines, by the way. If the Banes can maybe blow up a few of those, that would be nice, but there's still going to be Marines standing in. Now there's no Banelings, and it just goes so badly wrong from here, because if you don't have Banelings, you can never really properly clean up these Marines effectively, and it just becomes worse and worse for you. As INnoVation starts back, he has another huge round of Widow Mines showing up. INnoVation enters the arena and takes out. No long ZVZ so far. Nope, not just yet. They were a bit too long yesterday. Honestly, it was just one of those days where if that ZVZ happens, like, on a day where it's not already been, like, kind of a long day and so on, it's actually kind of fun, and we can laugh about it a bit, and, you know, whatever. The fact it happened after we were like streaming for 8 hours already, it was kind of like, no, come on. Are you kidding me? So, yeah. All good though, just one of those days. As in the top left, our blue Zerg player is INnoVation's. Didn't really have much of a game plan that game. I mean, just feels like everything... at first defense was good and then it just fell apart. Didn't have units, didn't have the tech he needed. So, yeah. Really just didn't have what he wanted at the end of all of that. As we have to the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player. Give it up if you're cheering on INnoVation. INnoVation here for game number 4. We set this up, we get this wrong. I don't think we actually have any ZVZ today, guys. We've got TVT after this one, and in Group B, we're going to be having... Okay, we've got Amani versus Ragnarok is actually the Korea-on-Korea matchup in Group B, so actually there is a bit of ZVZ. That should be much more aggressive sort of ZVZ, though, I think. This is not going to be anything like Bly versus Guru. I can promise you that, actually, more or less. So, yeah, what's going on then? So a couple of SCVs just kind of I say a couple. One SCV and the Reaper, of course. It's a super fast Rotron from INnoVation's, so he's absolutely looking to be aggressive. The SCV pulls towards the third hatchery, doesn't see that the Reaper needs to try and stay active on the map here to... Because he doesn't usually, you don't usually want to go into the main, but what you will want to do is keep the Reaper over here so that you can see the roaches when they spawn up. You don't need the roaches. You don't need to see the roaches when they're in the main base, or the roach are on the main base. Seeing them when they spawn here is enough time to prepare against it, but you do need to see them. So that's absolutely essential here, as INnoVation is keeping the Reaper alive. Nice low HP, drops the grenade to bop the Queen back. Let's get out of here, he says. First two roaches do start up. Obviously, you're still watching. Obviously, the lack of a third hatchery does start to perhaps make you question as well what the play is here. At home, couple of Hellions on the way up. Barracks will look to make a tech lab, which means there is a potential for a Banshee to come out. And there you go. You can see INnoVation is literally coming in at the perfect time to spot roaches popping out. It's actually just exactly the right moment you want to move that Reaper in. So it's really well timed here from INnoVation. And he's going to be able... Well, this roach is already being delayed a bit because it's off chasing the Reaper. Well, he starts with a bunker. I believe the starport should just go to... Oh, he's going to build a Marauder. Okay. I mean, this works too. He's just going to defend on one base and get the Marauder in the bunker. I mean, that works, of course. He's even going to get concussive shells. Rather than the Banshee, he's going to get the Viking. So the Viking is actually very nice because it can chase down this Overlord, which is looking to bring high ground vision. And high ground vision is very good in this scenario because what high ground vision lets you do is it lets you hit the Ravager Bowels up the ramp onto the depots without having to run your units into bunker range. So if you get rid of that Overlord, you're basically denying the high ground vision already. As we are going to be seeing the Stimpack starting. He actually cancels concussive shells then, so he isn't going to go super crazy on it. The Hellions will deal a bit of damage, and again, there's the Overlord getting pushed back. INnoVation hasn't even lifted his CC up on the low ground. He's just letting that kind of keep building SCVs. It's going to be kind of tough, right? I mean, he is up against 4 roaches and a Ravager here. Building a Liberator as a follow-up on the starport. Yeah, back and forth, and the end INnoVation is going to be able to clean this up pretty effectively. Right, then Marauder is going to take a corrosive bow hit. The Hellion count is being reduced. But the problem is this army from INnoVation wasn't really made to trade out, right? You don't really want to be trading out in this stage of this EDT, especially when you've gone aggressive on a low drone count. You kind of want to be dealing damage to the worker line, and so on and so forth. So this is a very good trade for INnoVation. He'll be very happy with the way that this went down. And he's even going to keep moving across the map with, yeah, it looked like he was going to keep going across the map with everything, but he does pull the Viking and the Marauder back. I mean, the Viking is low. The Marauder doesn't really have much escape, and really little chance to do much as well, because it's unlikely. He saw Link Speed was done, right? So it's unlikely you actually see many roaches made in defense anyways, and even if there is, what is that one Marauder going to do? Better to keep that alive at home, just in case you need an extra unit somewhere along the way. As this Reaper is going to pull up to the top side of the map, jump up into the main, and get going from there. Reaper helps up in the main. A couple of roaches will deal a good little bit of damage. As you have drones going to be taking some hits still. Liberating the main base. Sieged up is picking off a few of these drones as well, so a little bit of damage being done. 2 more Hellions just sat out the front, and Again, the Spire finishing is going to be able to go into a few Corruptors in the next little bit, as this Liberator is gonna take a few hits. I mean, Queen is gonna find its way around. We'll eventually get rid of this Liberator. Fearless on the way as well. I mean, Innovation being able to scout the Spires, a nice little bit of, tidbit of information where, now he can just make sure he's got a missile turret in each mineral line, etc. too, right? So he shouldn't really take much damage from this, and I mean, it's kind of similar to the previous game where INnoVation was just missing a lot until a very late stage of this game. Where's the Baneling Nest? There's not going to be Baneling speed for an eternity here. If he's just going to play like Mutas into Roaches, well, okay, fair enough, but it feels like to play Mutas into Roaches, you can't do that from behind, because the problem then is if the Mutas don't do any, unless the Mutas do a lot, the Roach follow-up isn't going to be scary and overwhelming like it's meant to be. You're going to see the Mutas going to pick up the SCV. Two Hellions just hanging out behind the mineral line here, and again, INnoVation is up even on workers, but there's just so much else that he's missing, especially with the investment into the middle list, right? Rather than going in towards upgrades and, Bane Nest or whatever, he really is just looking to go into those meters and really hoping that they deal more damage to help slow Inno down. 1-1 upgrade start, and as every second that ticks by right now is just a second ahead that INnoVation gets on those upgrades. It's just going to be, extra seconds where he's going to trade so much better at a later stage of this game. One Hellion made its way into the natural mineral line there. Obviously, one Hellion doesn't do so amazing on its own. It's force pressing out into the center of the map. A siege tank Marauder, a couple more Marines and Widow Mines continue into the middle as well. Realistic's down on the bottom side, going to fly into this main. We are going to be seeing the Biosim ahead. He's going to be able to pick off some of these creep tumors. Realistic's going to go after this refinery, and Refinery's taking a little bit of damage. Got half health already, as we'll see this Bioforce continuing over to the left-hand side. Marines continuing across. There's a nice little scan to pick up some of these creep tumors. Well, this is going to be the real test here for as Kaizi going to have enough to hold on to this. But Mines do pretty well. The Miller's still going to fly in. I mean, the Marines just target down Mutas. They'll actually be able to just get a lot of value here, even if this army gets cleaned up. The Siege Tank has picked up so much damage, by the way, as well. Got so many shots off. 2 Mutalisks survive this attack, and yeah, while you clean this up, INnoVation is just going to feel the wrath of INnoVation's follow-up, basically, as we do see those couple of Widow Mines will burrow. And the Roaches and the Mutas not going to be able to do much there out in the center. +1 missiles on the Evo chamber, 1-1 upgrades on the engineering base, the extra 2 barracks in the main base. Continue to get this going as we do see the Mutalisks still chasing down the Widow Mines. This Widow Mine goes down, and Sona will turn back around again. Factory dropping down on the third base, and again, just going to see the refineries on the third as well. Baneling Nest into the natural. Fourth hatchery down the left. Roach Ravager still moving around. Zerglin's on the way up in the natural. Liberator going to come all the way out through the top side. He's over 3 medevacs. Coming up the right also. INnoVation just looking to keep up the aggression here. I mean, he is going to be not on the upgrade advantage when these attacks hit, but he's not really looking for a major fight, right? He's looking to drop around, harass, just being annoying more than anything else. This Liberator in the main already finds itself a few of the drones. Liberator sieges up on this fourth base as well. INnoVation's just going to be all over the place for the next couple of moments, and it's going to be very difficult for INnoVation to deal with. Oh my god, these drones actually went back. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to keep mining. More drones actually coming into this mineral line are just going to get massacred. The drop in the main kills the lair, and INnoVation's just going to tap out at that moment, as he killed the lair just before the units. I've got to go in game. I want to sit out a game and say thank you a bunch of times. Dude, thank you so much. We are changing up the donation goal for this month to be aiming at attending Home Story Cup 20. Home Story Cup's a bit more expensive for me this time than previously. Take TV told me they will not, they're not interested in flying me out or helping me out with a hotel or anything. So, we are going to be trying to fundraise the money to go, and I mean, obviously I want to go, and it probably can go anyways, but it is kind of hard to justify the cost. Because it is much more expensive than usual, and it's just 4 days where I'm just going to be not working and stuff. So, if you guys want to check that out, it's a donation goal, and Montian is going to put in a good 10% of it just like that. Boom. Thank you so much, dude. What the hell? Appreciate it. Get some love in the chat for that. That is crazy. As this Reaper of Bunny heads down the bottom right-hand side, is going to sit on this watchtower. And just going to be seeing the factory on the way up from Bunny as well in this main base. So factory coming up, second refinery about to finish up from XY as well. Factory in the main base, and seeing this command center more, building up on the natural as well. So a lot of build up here in the moment. You see the tech lab dropping into the factory, reactor on the barracks, and this SCV patrolling away. And it's going to be dropping down the starport. So XY last week was also, I mean, we had a lot of cool results last week. Last week XY went 1-1 against Yeshi, so has already picked up a win this season. So has Bunny, as Bunny went and was the one player to actually go and was one of the players to go 2-0 last week, and he 2-0'd Siam. So again, I mean, these are both teams that picked up wins last week, so a lot of kind of very cool stuff in that regard, as we're going to be seeing the Reaper, the Marines hanging out at the front. We're going to be seeing the Cyclone on the way up here at the moment. So Cyclone building in this TVT for game number 5 and game number 6 of our first of 2 best of 7s today in the China Team Championship. Reaper down the right hand side. It's going to wander into another Reaper actually, so Raven on the way up, Hellion on the way out. Couple more SCVs building on each side, couple of Marines. Gonna be popping from XY2, so getting all of this up and rolling. Command Center's gonna be dropping into the main base there already, so getting that into play as well. So we're just gonna see Mule finishing up, getting this underway. So a lot of build up here as the Raven coming out on each side, Siege Tank building up as well. Starport going to move away from the tech lab, going to drop down a reactor. We're going to be seeing some extra barracks being added on as a 3rd CC from XY dropped in to the main base. A 3rd CC also over here from Bunny. So again, a lot of setup at the moment. A lot of getting ready to go as we see more Marines popping out. Going to be coming into the main. This barracks going to lift up off the reactor and go over to the tech lab. Starport's going to move up to the top side. And then with a couple of barracks will drop down as well. Stimpack will start. Starport onto the reactor. Just building up into that bio style, so Bunny not really waiting around too much. Both players really kind of in very similar setups. I mean, in terms of the early units, pretty much the same, bar a couple more Marines here or there. And it was Bunny who skipped a Cyclone, so slight difference, but XY did lose a Hellion. Again, very slight differences so far. As sorry, Bunny didn't skip a Cyclone. XY skipped a Cyclone, lost a Hellion. Bunny built a Cyclone. It's a bit later on tank 2. It's you know, pocket change in terms of what's the difference between the two players at the moment. They're really just following each other up nice and easily. Really just negligible little changes between the two. And that is our setup for the moment. So we are going to be seeing a couple of attacks set up in the main base, +1 attack dropping down here from both players, and the armor upgrade actually, double engine near and on both sides. So at this stage, there is a Raven from both players, but only one. We really have seen the meta shift in TVT to move away from double Raven, and we're seeing a lot more like single Raven openings now. Seen a lot more single Raven openers, so that is definitely pretty interesting as we see 2 more barracks dropping down in the main base. 3rd orbital command dropping down as well, about halfway done, as we do have 2 medevacs And a Raven. So this is a nice little drop from Bunny. Going to put the Raven to use aggressively without just being a straight up kind of forward push. Oh my god, that SCV is going to see those moving in. Raven is going to come in from XY, so he can interfere in his Matrix here. Unless he gets his Raven interfere in his Matrix, that would be big. He's going to auto turret. Okay, he is going to get the interference matrices off on the tanks, but tell you what, I mean, these Marines are taking a little while to wander forwards, and these Marines are holding off well. Now the tanks are out of Matrix. Oh no, XY is losing a lot. The SCVs are going to get absolutely destroyed. And now that tank is going to go down as well as its target fight. It will go down before it gets a kill. How can one drop do so well in comparison to his opponent? That's actually ridiculous, the difference in what just happened here. My god, Bunny just drops in the main, and this isn't even... I don't even know what to tell you guys. That's actually crazy. Like, actually crazy. This SCV goes down. Medevac from XY boosts across this side, and a couple of SCVs taking damage. And the siege tank is trying to stay alive while it's dropping out. It gets something done as well. 25 workers gone though, and Bunny is just dropping more units across the map. Will he go in the main? He could just drop on these two siege tanks, of course, and clean those up and then hit the third base, right? He's going to send his two medevacs from the main over to that third as well. His Raven is still alive too. I mean, honestly, I mean, this was just disastrous for XY. I don't even know how else to say it. Bunny picks up clean and simple. Game number 5. Puts when I had, you know, the exact same stuff and he just killed me. What do you even say about that? That's crazy. Bottom right hand side, our red Terran player is XY, who is unfortunately going to have to win this one, otherwise his team will take the first loss of the season. Top left hand side, our blue Terran player Bunny is about to put Kaizi game into the top of this group. We can win right now. Well, Bunny is going to be one to try and take this down, and great to see him getting a team for this season as well. Excited to see him playing out over the next little while. Well, I always enjoy watching Bunny play, and he had that moment earlier this year where he had an insane run. It was the end of last year. He was doing very well for a while, and then failed to qualify for Code S 2 times in a row. And that just really obsoletes anything else he does for a while. Puts things into a very, very kind of weird position overall as the SCV coming down. It's going to be wandering in, and just going to see this SCV taking a couple of nibbles there. So, a couple of nibbles dropping into play. Continue to set up into this. Just going to see that SCV chased out for the moment. Reaper is going to be popping up in a moment or two. Again, factory starting up in the main base. Command center on the natural. Both players are pretty happy to just expand here early. There's a bit of a later expansion though out of Bunny. So this is actually very weird from XY. This is something that I haven't even realized until now because he just sort of assumed there's a gas up, but there isn't. He's actually gone for a gasless expansion, and that's why his CC is that much faster. Wow. So he's going to bunker up and defend at the front with the idea of being able to wall off over here, perhaps to block the Reapers. Well, it's definitely a little bit risky. The problem is your factory is so delayed, so even though you get the faster command center, does it make up for the fact that you're in a, does it make up for the fact that you're in a position where you just don't have a factory for so long? I mean, the starport is starting out of Bunny, while the factory is starting out of XY. So if Bunny gets aggressive right away, is he not just going to get in here and do so much damage because of the lack of units of XY? That's how I would imagine this at the moment. That's how I imagine this going, as we do see this Reaper continuing through the top side. Continuing across, going to hop up into the high ground and towards the main base in a moment or so as well. A couple more Hellions just continuing out, and the starport will finish as the barracks builds a tech lab. Factory in the main base is going to lift up, drop down on the tech lab in a moment or two as well. This barracks over to the left hand side of the starport now, dropping in from XY as well. Cyclone will start up. So it's going to be a Cyclone base. I mean, I love the idea of the Hellion drop. It makes a lot of sense, right? There's going to be a limited number of defensive units, so if you bypass the defense, you should be in for a pretty decent ride. But the Cyclone's definitely the best choice in this scenario to kind of follow up and maybe sort of save the day. It will be out in time. We'll see if the Reaper can maybe bait it out somewhere else. If the Reaper can get the lock onto it rather than the Hellions, that could be pretty nice too. Or if the Medevac just lifts up and cancels the lock on, that could also be pretty awesome. Reaper tries to get into the natural, but is turned away. Those Marines popping out the bunker at a good time. Star puts the Tech Lab, third CC up and running now. So if Bunny doesn't do damage, XY is in a very good position, don't get me wrong. He's going to be in a great spot when it comes to the economy here. Here we go, boosting in. Okay, the Medevac is going to be taking the lock on, which I think is kind of okay because there's nothing to then fight the Hellions, which are going to start getting a lot of damage done already. 3 workers down. We still have 3 Hellions left over. We see 7 workers killed, 8 workers. This is very, very good so far. 8 workers this early in the game is very nice, and it puts Bunny into a lead. And he starts his own 3rd CC in location over there, so he will be able to make up a little bit of the time it's late on by not having to float it down, although it's a pretty short float down to this low ground, and XY is going to do that right away. So XY should be able to catch back up on workers. What Bunny has done with that attack is he's done enough damage to justify being later on the command centers, both on the natural and then the 3rd base. So it should just even out economically. And that should put us into a mid-game where it really is anyone's for the taking. As Bunny's going to stay aggressive, though. The Raven, the Cyclone, coming across through the center of the map. Both these units looking to try and perhaps get a little bit of something done here at the moment. So Raven in the middle of the map again. The Cyclone off over to the left, and a couple more engineering bays from Bunny. Continuing behind this main base mineral line. The Raven all the way along, and is going to be looking to auto turret up in this mineral line. He's already going down. Just going to be seeing a few more Marines on the way out. Plus one attack and armor impact too. All on the way from Bunny, but we're going to see XY taking a different approach to this game, an approach that XY scouts right now with this scan. He's going to be able to see the double factory building, so he's going to know that this is mech that he's up against. Now he sees this nice and early, so he will be able to start responding. And obviously his choices are going to be there. Obviously build up a few more Marauders than usual. You're going to be looking to perhaps also try and go in towards air control is quite nice to get. If you can get air control, it does a lot for you usually. This Raven is just dead, by the way, locked onto. Cyclone will go down. Oh no! Okay, just turn back for the Cyclone. Gets a Mule as well. Maybe not quite worth the Raven, but still makes the most of the scenario once he had committed it in. Doesn't mean he's up against 2 Ravens without a Raven of his own though, and looking to drop around the bottom side. Not sure if this drop is going to be as deadly as it was last time around. Feels like XY should have a few more units and should have a better way to deal with this at the moment. Going to drop a nice interference matrix on the Medevac. What that means is it can't actually boost, which means the Viking can stay in range, and interference matrixes again. Wow, that's one. I mean, they can't drop off either. So actually, Bundy's going to lose, potentially, all of these units he drops in auto turret. Oh my god. 2 full Medevacs go down for the Raven energy. The Cyclone is going to come in and try and take advantage. Viking should just land. He will do bonus damage to the Cyclone. Scan comes down, and Bunny at least gets one of the Ravens. Okay, well, get something out of this at least. Natural, going to see a drop of tanks coming down here, and a couple of Bayou units not doing so hard. SCVs, they're going to be the main target. It seems like it will be 12 workers down. So Bunny's continued attempts to deal damage here being successful, but he is losing a lot of army. So he needs to try and take that eco lead and keep that eco lead. Because of shells on the way up. Coming out into the center. Barracks still hiding out on the right. Fusion core coming up in the natural expansion. Bio moving around here, tank sieging up, and we're going to be seeing XY is going to hold on. Continue to build up here for the next couple of moments. GG upgrades continuing along. Just as the fusion core, the starports. Obviously, Bunny really aiming for that air control. And once you have air control, you get the Liberators up. Tank lines aren't as much of a problem anymore. And XY, his response to that may have to be obviously, starports of his own, but maybe even adding some Thors into play. That be as one way to really be able to deal with that, as we have got a backdrop here for Bunny. Not going to find much of an entry point down to this bottom side. XY scans the main base. He's going to see Vikings pop in, so he'll know there's a contestation for air control. Doesn't see the extra starports, but again, just seeing the Vikings should say enough that he's like, oh, you are confident enough in taking air control that you're actually making Vikings rather than just ignoring the threat. So, if I was XY, I'd take that as a sign that maybe I should be very careful about this. Bio pulls back up to the top right side. A few more Liberators on the way up, a couple more Vikings against those Libs that are going to push back the tank lines and maybe really break through that defensive line the mech provides. And just keeping active with a couple of drops, and while he maybe isn't finding major damage, he's just making sure as well that the Terran player, that XY, doesn't move out on the map. And as long as you keep XY at home, this goes pretty well for you, as we are going to be seeing the command center dropping in on the fifth base. 3 more starports on the way up, so Bunny is committed into this air army. But yeah, just keeping this dropping army around, it really does mean that as soon as you move out, there should be, this army here is actually moving back into the center now. Looks like he wants to gather everything up together for a larger fight. And the air control is ridiculous. 14 to 12 Vikings and the 4 Liberators. Here you go, anti-armor missile is going to drop though, and that will help XY quite a bit. We're going to see the Liberators trying to come in and join this fight as well. Liberators going back a little bit now, coming back in. A few bits of splash damage can go a long way there. But he is, it's very close. He is going to lose out this fight. The anti-armor missile does a lot for him, for XY, as we see the Bio having to fight some of this Hellbat tank force going down up the left-hand side. More Vikings showing up from Bunny to try and take this down. Again, he's got a lot of starports, remember, so his rebuild will be faster. Just needs to try and get rid of those couple of tanks, which he will do. And now there's no siege tanks, right? So those couple in the back that are sieging up are going to go down pretty quick, so the Bio will overwhelm here. And XY now starting to lose this ground army. There's a couple of tanks up in the top, but they're now in sieging. Maybe Bunny can't get back to that high ground, but he will have multiple Vikings and Liberators coming out, and this time he will hold air control to make this work. Bio continue to push their way through the rocks here. Rocks will go down, and again Vikings up in the sky. And this is going to be the air control. But there's the Thors, and that's where Bunny has to be very careful as XY continues to push up. Remember, XY is fighting for an ace match for his team. Important few moments as a couple of Liberators starting up in the main base as well. This mech army of XY still heading to the upper left sides. 4 medevacs down in the bottom, and well, we're gonna see what's going on. Vikings. Take quite a bit of damage. I mean, that is absolutely a issue at the moment. These Thors do not seem to have much of an answer. The drop across the map though gets SCVs, and I mean, this is maybe the bigger problem. Being able to clean this up is not looking too hopeful at all. We'll still do some good damage. This planetary fort has been repaired. Another Liberator comes forwards, but unfortunately is going to be picked off pretty much instantly. These Marauders are still doing very well over here, actually picking up a Thor now. SCVs and Hellions are fighting, but that will not clean up Marauders very easily at all. The Vikings showing up over here. The Liberators pressing forwards, and Marauders going to jump in on this. Just can't seem to get rid of those couple of Thors. If you can get rid of the Thors, obviously, then the Liberators will take control in the skies as Vikings still landed. It's actually a shame, maybe lifting the Viking back up, keeping some of the anti-air here. As Vikings from XY are starting to show up. on the top side. Bunny has 92 SCVs. Means he is only equal on army supply. Two tanks will siege up. A few SCVs going to pull in and repair up the planetary fortress. Two Liberators of Bunny moving out through the center of the map. Another siege tank from XY setting up as well. 6 more Vikings, 2 more Liberators. All of this getting ready to go as we see the +3 attack upgrade on the engineering bay. And he's going to want to buy 11 SCVs going down. Liberator is going to be sieging. This Liberator going to be sieging up over on the right side as well. Look to pick up a few of these SCVs. So, a few SCVs going down here. 4, 5. Workers down. 6, 7. So again, harassment is still good. Now the Bioforce is actually a little bit too good in the middle. I mean, there's actually only really Hellions there. The siege tank not sieged as well, so Bunny suddenly pushes forwards. Now he still has quite a heavy siege tank line to break. He might not want to go that way. And again, where else does he really go? Just sends a Liberator to the mineral line. He's also got Liberators all over at the moment. Finally, a couple of Vikings starting to pop out. At this stage, Bunny's going to have the economy advantage and the army advantage to at some point just overwhelm these siege tanks. This Liberator shows up here, could turn around onto the natural as well, where there's a lot of oversaturated SCVs. And that's another problem here. XY is actually just mining so few of his SCVs because they're all oversaturated.